Um, Alright, so, um, update on my life. I'm taking these off. So I am now living in Chicago, and I work with an organization that provides services for those living with HIV. So I do HIV test counseling, and I do medical case management for those living with HIV and AIDS. So I don't know. The situation kind of just, it's almost to an end for me, but so about a week and a half ago, almost 2 weeks ago now, I went in to a clinic, and I was getting consultation for PrEP, and so my HIV test was going through, and I don't know, I just started freaking out about it. The guy takes me to the doctor's office or whatever, because I tested in a separate room, and he comes back in like 10 minutes later, and he's like, it's negative. And I was like, alright. I look at it and I'm like, then like, what's this line right here? Because there was a control line, and then there was a line that indicated that there were HIV antibodies in my system. So he took the test back with him, and about 10-15 minutes later, a nurse practitioner came in, and she said that the test results came back reactive for HIV, and everything after that kind of just, I don't know, my mind was just clouded up, and I couldn't really think, but I had one of my partners at the clinic with me, so I had to tell him what I had just heard, and I was afraid that he was going to beat the shit out of me in the doctor's office, but that wasn't the case, and he was very supportive. So after that, I don't really remember the conversations that were exchanged between myself and the practitioner. All I can remember from that is just her face. She just looked so sad, and like she felt sorry for me. I don't know. So then the pharmacist came in, and she was like, your insurance didn't really cover much of the medication, so it's on us while we figure out the insurance part of it. Apparently the meds are like $2,300 a month, and my insurance is shit, so that was something that we're gonna have to figure out. So I was taking Biktarvy once a day around 9 p.m. So Biktarvy is apparently I don't know if you guys can hear that, but that was a car. So I was taking Biktarvy. Biktarvy is the most recent drug approved, released by the FDA. It was in February of this year, 2018. So I was taking that, and I didn't get any side effects, or I haven't had any side effects. So I was just, I don't know, I was just in shock, I guess, and I was making a list of like partners I had had up to that point, and like, I don't know, the whole situation was weird. So I was pretty sure about who gave me HIV. So I don't know. I had to keep going with life because I was working, I had school. So I don't know. That's kind of how I processed it, was just keeping up with, well, trying to keep up with schoolwork. I fell behind a little bit, but I'm caught back up now. Just doing that, doing work, and telling people was how I got over it. So the day after my diagnosis, I remember just waking up and I don't know, it's just, I woke up just not wanting to be awake. It was kind of like, it felt like a dream, but I knew that it was reality, which was difficult, and I had responsibilities that I had to handle that day, and like, I didn't think I could. So I had to disclose my status to my good friend and roommate, Ray, and which, even after that, it took a huge weight off of my shoulders. But I just continued to disclose my status to people that I could trust, and that's kind of how I started to come to terms with it myself. But I still had to disclose myself to the guy that I was kind of getting more serious in dating, which was very nerve-wracking because he's never even been with a guy before. So he's got me, and then he has to deal with my bullshit. Well, I'm not gonna call it bullshit. It was just my, and then having to deal with something as, I guess, I want to say complex, but it's kind of simple to me. As dealing with something as complex as HIV. So I told him, he was understanding, and he stayed with me, but he didn't understand HIV to the fullest. We were actually having sex last night. Well, we were getting there, and he wanted to have anal sex, but even with the condom, he was still nervous, and he didn't want to perform oral sex on me because he was nervous about it, which really made me feel some kind of way. So I don't know. I'm gonna talk to him more about that. But anyway, I need to go back in time for the rest of the story. So this last Friday, I called Partner Services to call the person I was thinking gave me HIV. Not that it matters, because that wouldn't change my status moving forward. It was just, I looked back at his profile after I got my diagnosis, and his profile had said that he hasn't been tested since December. So I was just like, well, it would make sense that they would have it and they wouldn't know that they were living with it. So I called Partner Services. He tried to pull up my my blood labs, and he was just getting so confused about it. He's like, well, because my Insti tests were coming back non-reactive, which scans for 3 months and back, and then my determined tests were the ones that came back reactive. So I don't know. He was just telling me something false positive, and I was like, I don't really need this right now. Like, I don't want this hope. So like, let's just do what you need to do. And I just didn't want any kind of hope, because it would just crush the hope if it turned out to be real. So I get a call again that evening saying that it's looking like it was a false positive. and then they offered me Truvada that day, but I said no because I want to see them in person, and I was back home in Michigan for homecoming. But they were saying that they were going to run like a triple check. And so on my way home today from running errands, I got a call from the same woman, and she said that it turns out that my test results were negative, and that I can stop taking the medication that I was on, Biktarvy. I don't know, it's just been a lot to deal with, and I understand that, like, maybe I don't have the most room to be super emotional about it because I don't have it anymore, or I know for sure that I don't have it anymore, but just going on for almost 2 weeks and kind of having to deal with, like, the fear of, like, judgment, the fear of disclosing your status, and just like the fear of the future. It was just a lot to take in, especially while my entire life revolved around this virus, because that's what I'm working in. So it was just a lot to take in, and like I couldn't really escape it. But I don't know, it's kind of shown me how, like, strong and brave that I can actually be, which is great because I needed that. But it, like, I don't know, it's given me the perspective of someone who actually has a confirmed diagnosis of HIV. And it's honestly unfair, like, the way some people treat it and the way that people are educated on it, because I know that there are still people out there who are just, like, deathly afraid of it because they think they can get it from, like, saliva or urine, or just, like, they don't even want people who have HIV to, like, hold their baby because they have HIV. It's just unfair, and it's not right. And just, I don't know, the medications as well, it's just, I don't know, I just feel like we're not handling HIV correctly. I don't know the ins and outs of insurance and pharmaceutical drug pricings and stuff like that, but there's really no reason that these life-saving medications should be that expensive, honestly. And these are not only medications that will keep these people with HIV alive, it will keep them from transmitting it to other people. So these meds don't just affect them, it affects everybody. It affects the future of HIV and the future of, like, possibly even having an HIV-free future. And I just don't understand how how these resources just aren't truly a public domain yet. It's not fair. Nothing is fair about this whole situation. So I don't know, it's kind of just given me a new perspective on everything, and giving me a new respect for the work that I do, and I want to continue to do this work. I want to educate people, and I want to help prevent HIV in the future, because this is something that we can do. Like, HIV is something that we can stop, but it just starts with making resources more accessible, because the longer we keep these things from being accessible to everybody, the more likely that HIV will evolve and turn into something that will put us back in time, basically. Because with people going on and off of their medications and stuff like that, maybe because they can't afford it, or maybe because they're not adhering to what the medication calls for, HIV can grow resistant to it, and the meds could stop working. So, yeah, I don't know, I just wanted to explain that story. I don't know, this isn't to kind of, I don't know, I just don't want to come off as, I don't know, like rubbing it in people's faces that I was kind of given a second chance, because either way, I was gonna be okay. Like, no matter how long like it took me to kind of fully process it, I was gonna be okay with the medical advancements that we have now. Like, I was gonna live fully anyway. It was just a matter of me processing it. So it's kind of just my story of just like the perspective that I was given. I don't know, but if you have any questions or anything about HIV, I think YouTube still has like a direct message system, so you can do that or comment, and I'll do my best to get back. But yeah, alright, bye.